Corporate startup. The basic problem confronting an organization is to engage in sufficient exploitation to ensure its current viability and, at the same time, devote enough energy to exploration to ensure its future viability. The challenge of having to respond to change is nothing new. As long ago as 1942, Joseph Schumpeter wrote about creative destruction as a process that refreshes economies by injecting new blood in the form of innovative new technologies and companies. What is remarkable about our time is the sheer pace of change in social trends, economic factors and technology. The average lifespan of companies is getting shorter. We have also seen the emergence of startups that quickly become billion-dollar companies such as Microsoft, eBay, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, Dropbox, Uber and Airbnb. Driven by technology, these companies have transformed traditional industries and business models. The disadvantage of incumbency in contrast, traditional long-standing companies appear to be struggling. It seems that being an already successful company can be the Achilles heel for innovation. In 2007, when Steve Jobs introduced the first iPhone at Macworld, Steve Ballmer, who was then the CEO of Microsoft, was not that impressed. He mockingly declared that there's no chance that the iPhone is going to get any significant market share. No chance. The comforts of incumbency can indeed be a disadvantage. Leadership teams in successful companies can become climate change deniers. That is to say, they can see the changes happening in the business world, but deny their relevance to the company. This denial is most intractable when the weather is good. In most successful large companies, the focus is on the high revenue, high profit cash cow products. If the company is currently making large profits from these products, then the hubris that comes with that success can create blind spots. For publicly traded companies, there is further pressure on executives to meet short-term market expectations for returns. Nokia's former CEO remarks that established companies can only change when they have a charismatic leader or a crisis. We respectfully disagree with this notion. By the time a crisis or a charismatic leader arrives, it is often too late to respond. We instead agree with Schumpeter that even in the process of creative destruction, there is always a chance for companies that would otherwise perish to weather the storm and live on, vigorously and usefully. In other words, death is not inevitable. Companies that are able to respond to change can survive and thrive. Innovation ecosystem. Most senior executives can relate. It usually starts with some startup types within the company telling them scary stories about how startups are coming to eat their lunch. Look at Facebook, Uber, Twitter and Airbnb. Oh, look what happened to Blockbuster, don't let that happen here. Do you know Nokia used to be the largest mobile phone company in the world? Now look at them. We need to innovate like startups. We need to set up an incubator, an accelerator and put more money into R&D. While there is often agreement that there should be more investment in innovation, the debate is always about where and how those investments should be made. Depending on who they talk to, corporate leaders will often get conflicting advice. Should innovation units be physically separated from the main business, or can innovation be managed within the same company? This is a sensible discussion to have. But much of the advice that leaders get is filled with polemics. Each side takes an extreme view. One commonly cited problem is that traditional managers with MBAs are too stuck in their ways to understand innovation. These managers are also incentivized to behave in a manner that stifles innovation. People cannot get any innovation done within a company that expects a 30-page business case before it funds any idea. Ultimately, such a company will always invest in sure bets, which means that the company always works on the same types of products. This is indeed a challenge. But it is equally true that setting up separate innovation labs does not guarantee that any successful products will emerge from there. For the most part, these are places where innovation theater takes place. Look at here. We are doing lean startup, design thinking, customer development, business model canvas and minimum viable products. Sure. Whatever. None of these techniques in themselves represent innovation. The ultimate measure of success is the development of new products with sustainably profitable business models. Why innovation fails. Such polemical debates fail to get at the core of why innovation in established companies succeeds or fails. Ultimately, innovation fails when a large company decides to use the same processes it uses to manage its core products to manage its innovation projects. Business planning does not work for innovation. All estimates of ROI, NPV and ARR are fiction. Investments based on such numbers are usually bets made on faith. As already noted, this approach also encourages managers to develop a tendency to invest in, sure bet, products for current markets. The feeling is that by creating innovation labs, managers can separate innovators from the toxic environment within the company. But these labs fail because companies do not build any management processes around them, allowing innovators to work on whatever they want. There is a common tendency to conflate creativity with innovation. Management sees successful startups coming up with great new products, and this motivates managers to pursue the development of similarly cool new shiny products via R&D labs, incubators and accelerators. But creating great new products is not innovation. We have learned that companies need to put a great process in place in order to manage innovation. Without a clear process, innovators will not get the right level of support. It is hard to succeed when innovation is run as a covert operation that flies under the radar of executives. In that situation, there are often no clear exit criteria for the integration of innovative new products into the main business. There are also no clear career paths for employees working in innovation labs. The truth is that, no matter what you do or where you start, innovative products will always need someone from the main business to make a decision about their future. How those people view the new innovations will ultimately determine those products' mortality rates. A corporate startup definition of innovation. A good place to start developing a management process is by providing a clear definition of what innovation is. Innovation is often simply defined as a novel creation that produces value. From our perspective, the concept of innovation as distinct from creativity involves three important steps. The first step involves the novel and creative ideas that are generated through various methods that trigger insights. The second step is ensuring that our ideas create value for customers and meet their needs. The final step involves finding a sustainable business model. This part of the journey involves ensuring that we can create and deliver value to customers in a way that is sustainably profitable. His definition lays bare what the role of innovation in any organization should be. It is not to simply create new products and services. New products may be part of the equation, but the ultimate outputs of innovation are sustainable business models. A business model is sustainable when our novel creations deliver value to customers, i.e. when we are making stuff people want, and when we are able to create and deliver this value profitably, i.e. we are making some money. Without these two elements, a new product cannot be considered an innovation. It is simply a cool new product. It might be the coolest thing since sliced bread, the most creative product ever made, but if it doesn't deliver value to customers and bring in profits, it is not innovation. The 5 principles of a corporate innovation ecosystem. Successful innovation necessitates interactions among multiple actors from multiple parts of a company. In the journey from ideation, product creation, first customer sales, growth and scale, multiple parts of the organization are inevitably involved in innovation. This is why organizational alignment around innovation is critical. Companies need to create an internal process that 1. Facilitates the serendipity that creates sparks of creative ideation. 2. Captures and tests the outputs of this creative ideation. 3. Transforms ideas into successful products with profitable business models. This means that organizations need to be designed to create and benefit from serendipity. The goal of this book is to articulate the principles that inform how organizations manage these innovation complexities. We strongly believe that principles trump tactics. It is, ultimately, up to each organization to adapt these principles and apply them to its business, strategic goals and context. The 5 principles for building corporate innovation ecosystems are as follows. Innovation thesis. We believe that innovation must be part of, and aligned with, the overall strategic goals of the company. This is important when it comes to later transitioning innovation projects into the core product portfolio. Just like venture capital investors have investment theses that specify the types of startups and markets they invest in, every large company must have an innovation thesis. An innovation thesis clearly sets out a company's view of the future and the strategic objectives of innovation. For example, an established software company can take the view that driverless cars are the future and they want to get in that market early. Their innovation thesis will be that they invest mostly in new ideas that bet on that future, i.e. software products for driverless vehicles. In this regard, an innovation thesis sets the boundaries or guardrails concerning the innovation projects the company will or will not consider. In addition to this deliberate strategy, the company must also use its innovation process as a source of emergent strategy that is responsive to changes in the market. Innovation portfolio. To achieve its innovation thesis and strategic goals, an established company should then set itself up as a portfolio of products and services. This portfolio should contain products that cover the whole spectrum of innovation, i.e. those that can be classed as core, adjacent and transformational. The portfolio should have early-stage products, as well as mature and established products. A company may also consider having in its portfolio disruptive products that are aimed at lower-end or emerging markets. The goal is to have a balanced portfolio in which the company is managing various business models that are at different stages of their lives. The balance of the product portfolio should be an expression of the company's overall strategy and innovation thesis. Innovation framework. In order to execute on its thesis and manage its portfolio of products and services, the company needs a framework for managing the journey from searching to executing. There are several examples of innovation frameworks, for example Ash Maurya's Running Lean framework and Steve Blank's Investment Readiness Model. At Pearson, Tendai has been part of a team that has developed the Lean Product Lifecycle, which is an award-winning innovation management framework. All these frameworks can be synthesized into the 3 simple steps for innovation: creating ideas, testing ideas and scaling ideas. Every now and again, a company may decide to refresh the business models of its existing products through renewing ideas. Having an innovation framework provides a unifying language for the business. Everybody knows what phase each product or business model is in. This then provides the basis for how a company can manage its investment decisions and product development practices. Innovation accounting. With an innovation framework in place, the company now needs to make sure they are using the right investment practices and metrics to measure success. Traditional accounting methods are great for managing core products. However, when managing innovation, different sets of tools are needed. We propose that companies should use incremental investing based on the innovation stage of their products. This approach is based on Dave McClure's Moneyball for startups. We also propose 3 sets of innovation KPIs that companies should be tracking. Reporting KPIs focus on product teams, the ideas they are generating, the experiments they are running and the progress they are making from ideation to scale, e.g. assumptions tested and validated. Governance KPIs focus on helping the company make informed investment decisions based on evidence and innovation stage, e.g. how close are the teams to finding product market fit. Global KPIs focus on helping the company examine the overall performance of their investments in innovation in the context of the larger business, e.g. % of revenue in the last 3 years. Innovation practice. In addition to correctly managing investments in innovation, the way in which product teams develop their products has to be aligned to the innovation framework. Pearson's Lean Product Lifecycle is accompanied by a great playbook that provides guidance to product teams as they search or execute on their business models. Adobe's Kickbox provides similar guidance, tools and resources. The core principle for innovation practice is simply that no product can be taken to scale until it has a validated business model. As such, during the search phase the job of innovators is to validate their value hypotheses, i.e. does our product meet customer needs, and their growth hypotheses, i.e. how will we grow revenues and customer numbers. This process requires that teams validate both the attractiveness of the product to customers and the potential profitability of the business model. A key part of this innovation practice is the idea of a network or community. Companies have to create and support communities of practices that interact regularly and share lessons on best practice. This ensures that innovation skills are shared and developed as a human capability across the company. These 5 principles combine to help create an innovation ecosystem. The first 2 principles, thesis and portfolio, focus on innovation strategy. The next 2 principles, framework and accounting, focus on innovation management, and the last principle is where rubber meets the road and the company begins interacting with customers and validating business models. Most innovation labs have tended to just focus on this last part, innovation practice. But the truth is that without a supportive ecosystem in place, products coming out of innovation labs will have high mortality rates. This is why applying all 5 principles is important. As you can see, these elements are interconnected, each representing a create test learn loop of its own. To the extent that strategy informs investment decisions, the success of these decisions in turn informs strategy. To the extent that investment decisions impact innovation practice produces learnings that inform investment decisions and, in turn, inform strategy. This is an innovation ecosystem at work. Each interconnected piece is responding to data from the other pieces. Such a holistic approach allows companies to innovate like startups, without having to act like startups.